Ankh and Ma'at. Welcome to Kemetic Ascension, brought to you by the Shrine of Ma'at. My name is Jabari Osaze, also known as Heru Jen Ma'at. Dr. Anika Daniels Osaze, Infra Ma'at is in the back there, as you know. Let me first beg your indulgence. We had some technical challenges this morning, and that made us start later than we often do, even later than we do at times. So thank you for being patient. I'm hoping that you all are filing in. I'm hoping that you all are joining us this morning. You may remember, if you are a regular part of this important gathering, the Kemetic Ascension, that I am going to ask you right at the outset to go ahead and let us know where in the world you are and for how long you have been part of Kemetic Ascension. Where in the world are you? And how long have you been part of Kemetic Ascension? You know that those are the questions we ask as we're still in this quarantined mode to some degree. We really are looking forward to hearing from you. We haven't heard from you in 2 weeks. Let us know that you're out there. Do we have responses?
Still coming in.
They're still coming in? Okay. I'm hoping that you all are there. I know that some of you are probably waiting for us to begin. And I can understand that if you're a regular participant, you probably were wondering, well, where are they? We are here. A little late, but we're here. We never miss Kemetic Ascension, even when we're on the road. So I'm hoping that you will join us. And I'm so honored that you decided to spend a portion of your Sunday with us. Do we have some responses?
Yes, we have Key Life Productions.
That's Brother Sakem. How are you, Brother Sakem?
Mm-hmm. Gypsy Soul from Newport News, Virginia.
Ankh and Ma'at. Key Life is in Philly, by the way. Ankh and Ma'at, Ankh and Ma'at.
James Watkins out in Baltimore, Maryland, on and off for 2 years.
Ankh and Ma'at, Ankh and Ma'at.
Atone Amun-Ra, watching from Chicago.
Of course, he's in the
for
Windy
4
City,
years.
One of our full members. Ankh and Ma'at to you.
Anjanakan Malo from Naples.
Yes, Naples, Florida. Another one of our
6
full
years.
members. Ankh and Ma'at to you.
Mm-hmm. Then Jason Holmes out in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Full members in the house. Ankh and Ma'at, San Jason. Ankh and Ma'at.
Heruasar Ankh Amun-Ra from Dallas, Texas.
Ankh and Ma'at, Ankh and
4
Ma'at
years.
to you.
Jahim Ray from Woodbridge, Virginia, for a year.
Ankh and Ma'at, Ankh and Ma'at.
There's Shahid Douglas out in St. Louis.
Ankh and Ma'at to you.
Mm-hmm. We have the Schaefers, that wonderful couple out in Ghana right now in Kemet.
Ankh and Ma'at. I am really anxious to hear what it's been like really living in Kemet, because they've been living there. I mean, they've been there for many months now, right? What is it like? When Anika and I go, we're there for weeks at a time. You've been there for months now. What is that like? Have you found your groove there? I'm really anxious to hear what that's like. Ankh and Ma'at.
Yes, and they've been with us for 3 years, by the way. Members for nearly a year now.
Ankh and Ma'at.
We have Tarseti out in Denver, Colorado, with us for 10 months.
Ankh and Ma'at. Ankh and Ma'at.
He says that he met Brother Mfundishi on 125th Street a few weeks ago.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I think Baba Mfundishi is in Costa Rica right now. I saw him before he was leaving. Ankh and Ma'at.
That's who we have so far.
I think people are thrown off. We are live, folks. We are live. Ankh and Ma'at to you all. I'm assuming that we'll have some more in a few moments. So as we're waiting, let me just say that today is the 12th, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that the winter solstice is on the 20th. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Which means that in 8 days, the Shrine of Ma'at will have our winter, I'm sorry, not winter solstice. We'll have our spring equinox. Did I say winter solstice? Spring, you didn't catch me either. Spring equinox event.
You started to say it.
We actually meet at the Tekken, at that monument that has been erroneously called Cleopatra's Needle, in Central Park at 7 p.m. on the day of the solstice. So I am looking forward to meeting any of you who are in the area. Hopefully it'll be a little warmer than it was for the winter solstice, because you can imagine it was chilly. We tried to do what we had to do quickly and keep it moving. So know that that is on Monday, March 20th. Monday, March 20th at 7 p.m. We will be at the Tekken for our regular equinox and solstice celebrations. This is going to be the vernal equinox, the spring equinox. You know that equinox comes from the term equal nox, meaning night. So it refers to a time that we have equal amounts of light and darkness. So we are looking forward to seeing you. Are there other people that have come in?
Yes, we have Tahuti Ma'at Ross Sirius.
And Ma'at to
been
you.
with us for 4 years, currently in Wichita, Kansas, but moving to Galveston, Texas next month.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Please, traveling mercies, we're asking the Neteru to guide you and to keep you safe on your journey. Ankh and Ma'at to you.
We have Ronald Green with us.
Ankh and Ma'at, a regular Ankh and Ma'at.
Mm-hmm. The Schaefer said that they've been there for 6 months now, and it's been an enlightening experience, and they'll be there when we get there in August.
Really? Mm-hmm. Do you know, now Anika speaks to them more than I speak to them. So do you know where they are in Kemet?
I don't.
Can you let us know where you are? It'll be wonderful. We had a chance to spend time with you in Ghana. It would be amazing to spend time with you in Kemet as well. We probably have to let our tour folks know if we're going to be taking on 2 additional people as well. Right, Anika? Because you can't just travel with us. The security in Kemet is really tight. In Ghana, we could just say, hey, these are people, they with us. And then they were like, oh, cool. Hey, how are you? Not like that in Kemet. So we would need to let them know. Could you let us know where you are? We would love to know. Maybe if we're near where you are, at some point in the trip, we can meet up.
Then we have Dean Shear, who's relatively new.
Ankh and Ma'at to you, and welcome. Yeah. Where are you, Dean Shear? Tell us where you are in the world.
We have Curtis Jackson, member since 2020.
Members. Watching full members, yes. And he is in Pennsylvania, in oh goodness, Pittsburgh, I believe. I believe he's near Pittsburgh. Right? Do I have that right? How are you doing, brother? I hope you're doing well. I've thought about you many times. I have to say to you folks, if those of you are trying to reach me know that it's been harder than usual to reach me, I have been drinking from a fire hose for months now. I did something really strange that I thought was divinely guided, but it has made my my life even more complex. Look at Anika's face. She's looking like, yes, he's crazy. That's that look on her face. I wish you could see her expression sometimes. She's like this, look. That's her look. That's her look. I just want you to see what I see behind the computer. She's not looking at me. She's looking to the side like, I'm not going to even look at this fool. That's what that look is. Am I right about the look?
Let's move on.
She said, let's move on. I'm in trouble. I am in trouble again. I stay in trouble. Anyway, I started another graduate program. I'm doing a master's degree in the history of Masters of Research in the history of Africa and the African diaspora. Because ultimately my goal has always been to have a doctorate in history, in a historical field that covers the continent. And I'm going to say to you, as much as I have studied the continent, I have not attained that goal. And just when I found the program, I said, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So it has meant that I am both a college professor and a university student at the same time. That is wild. It has been so crazy. So I apologize for those of you who I have not caught up with that I really need to. Is there more to say, Anika, or are you going to still give me those strange looks?
No, just more people come in. So.
She still gave me the strange look. Yes. Okay. So go ahead. Yes. Tell us who else is with us.
So Dean Shear is from Ashburn, Virginia.
Wonderful. I don't know Ashburn. Mm-hmm. Ankh and Ma'an, welcome.
And Ronald Green is hailing from Alton, Illinois.
Ankh and Ma'at, two places I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Not like I know the country so well that I should know them, but definitely Ankh and Ma'at to you all.
We have James Watkins here. Says I'd like to attend.
Like to attend?
I'm assuming he means Ascension. Mm-hmm.
You like to attend Ascension, or you'd like to attend the winter solstice ceremony? Because we were talking about the winter solstice ceremony. Right. James Watkins, brother James, are you in the area? It would be wonderful if we could meet you. 7 p.m., March 20th. It is behind the Metropolitan Museum of Art. So if you're looking for an area to go to the Metropolitan Museum, and you'll be able to find that monument. It is a tekken. It is one of those monuments that, unfortunately, the Tamhu, the European, has decided to call Cleopatra's Needle. And so that is where we have our solstice and equinox celebrations. So I'm hoping that you will join us. Are there more folks?
We have Adam I Am 720 from Painesville, Ohio, a small town outside of Cleveland.
Wonderful. Ankh and Ma'at.
Yes, Sinette Lady Davis, Lady Het Davis, one of our members.
One of our full members. Ankh and Ma'at to you, Sinette Lady Day. Hey, a Lady Het Davis. See, I mess it up like you mess it up. See that?
We have Tony Sekam Ra Capri out in the DMV.
Ankh and Ma'at. I don't know if I've heard that name before. Have we?
Well, Tony Johnson is how it is.
Okay, Ankh and Ma'at. I like the new name, Ankh and Ma'at.
We have Marquita Jeffrey out in Springfield, Ohio.
Ankh and Ma'at. Ankh and Ma'at. I think we've heard Marquita before. I know a few Marquitas, so I think that we've heard her name before. Ankh and Ma'at to you, Sinette.
We have Yo Folks 3 out in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Yo Folks 3. I like that name. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Ankh and Ma'at.
Yeah. And James Watkins was referring to the spring equinox. He said he'll drive up.
Oh, wonderful. From where? Where are you driving from?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I just want to know because it's a quick and dirty. That's not a way we should describe ceremony, but it's something we do relatively quickly because it's cold. The summer equinox, the summer solstice is when
Baltimore.
We hang out a bit. If you come, we would love to see you, but know that there will be events where you'll get to spend more time with us as well, just so you know. Okay.
He asked about the attire. So since it's going to be on Monday evening, it'll be blue and white.
Yes, mostly white, right? With blue accents. But here's the deal. If you don't have that, are we going to say you're out of uniform? Whatever you come in, you will be welcomed. But know that the ceremony should last for about an hour or so. So we're looking, and of course, that an hour, if the weather is relatively normal for the first day of spring. We have actually done the ceremony in the rain. We've done the ceremony in hail. I'll never forget standing there for the winter solstice one year, and we were having a good ceremony. We started hearing, and I said, "What is that?" And I remember looking at Abu Vernon, Abu Waziri, and we both said hail at the same time. So yes, we've done it in the hail. We've even done it with a sheet of ice. They did not shovel the area by the Tekken. And I remember Nika and I were quite concerned because we were doing the stomping out a pet ritual. And that meant that we had models of a pet, the snake, and we were stomping on it. And I was so concerned that someone was going to stomp and slip and fall. But definitely we always have our ceremony regardless of the weather. Just as our ancestors recognized the movements of Ra, so should we. So, are there more folks?
Yeah, Yo Folks is going to celebrate a birthday on March 19th.
Wow, Ankh and Ma'at to you, and happy solar return, glorious solar return. Wonderful. I hope the day goes extremely well. It's a Sunday. Hopefully, you'll do some wonderful things with family, and it'll be amazing. My birthday is coming up really soon too. Yours is the 19th. Mine is the 25th. So it's coming up. We're just a few days apart.
We have Domo 1. Tell us where you're from.
Ankh and Ma'at, someone that we've seen before. I
Bell.
think Domo 1 might be a Sonetter I might see on Sonetter as well.
We have Capricorn Magi from Chicago.
Ankh and Ma'at to you.
Oh, Adam I Am is Curtis Jackson.
Oh, you had two, but we had Curtis Jackson already.
Okay. Belle Fenn, tell us where you're from.
Ankh and Ma'at to you.
Okay. Lotus Love, Love 21 Ma'at in York, PA.
Ankh and Ma'at, York, PA. We know York, PA a little bit.
So Adam I Am is an acronym for Another Day, Another Miracle. I Am.
Nice. Oh, that's cool. I like that. That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. And we have Deborah's sister, Deborah Kennedy. So I've been missing you all.
One of our full members. I saw Deborah Kennedy in person. We hung out in Detroit. How are you, Sinette? We had a great time. Ate dinner at the museum. We had a really good time. And hopefully we'll get to have events like that more. I'll come on to you.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. We have David. Tell us where you're from, David.
Ankh and Ma'at.
I think that's everyone.
Ankh and Ma'at to you all. Ankh and Ma'at to you all. I'm so honored that you've joined us. I'm honored that you're here. Welcome to Kemetic Ascension for March 13th, 2023. That is the secular year, the secular date that we're using. I'm so honored once again that you joined us. You may know that at this part of our ceremony, we go into the ritual that our elder, Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samad Se Ptah, bequeathed to us, gave to us, handed down through the Kemetic community. And you'll know that in many, the thing I find very interesting is that many of the different Kemetic houses do this ceremony. He has certainly been influential to all of us who hear the call of ancient Africa and have chosen to have our spiritual traditions reflect the traditions of those great, wonderful, dusky mothers and fathers who gave civilization to the world. So this ceremony is known as the opening of the way. So you know that we're going to ask you to stand to do this with us. This is not a performance. This is what we do together. You know we're live, right? This isn't just TV, right? So please stand and do this with us. This means that you're going to stand upright. You're going to stand with your left foot a bit further forward than your right foot, like you're beginning to take a stride. And then you're going to put your hands up in front of you. Expose your palms in front of you. And your left palm is going to be a bit further forward than your right palm. And your right palm can be a bit further down than your left palm. Know that this means that you are both giving and receiving divine energy. You're creating an energetic circuit that allows us to enjoy the energies that pervade the space that are being sent out by all the other peoples that are with you. In this instance, we're sending it through the wires, through the internet to you wherever you are. So please stand in a position of adoration as we do the opening of the way. You're going to begin by taking a breath and putting that energy and that air down beneath your navel, around your navel if you can. You're trying to breathe into your diaphragm, not into your upper chest, into your diaphragm. And then when you release, you're going to release in what I would say is a nasal sound, because what you're doing is you're bringing energy from here up to here, energy from here up to here. You're going to chant the word for everlasting divine life known as Ankh. So please do this with me. Take your breath. And as you take your breath, let me say this. Push your stomach out. And as you're releasing it, try to keep it out. Have that basketball in your belly, okay? Try to keep pushing it out even as you're releasing the air. That will allow you to draw in more air and to chant this divine word even longer. Let us begin.
Anetrak in bet het.
Anetrak in bed het.
Nuke in bet het.
Nuke in bed het. Anetrak hapi.
Anetrak happy.
Nuke hapi.
Nuke happy.
Twal winter.
Twal winter.
Turn to the right.
Anetrak serket.
Anetrak serket.
Nuke serket.
Nuke serket. Anetrak keb senu.
Anetrak kebsenu.
Nuke keb senu.
Nuke kebsenu.
Twal inter.
Twal winter. Anetrak ast.
Anetrak ast.
Nuke ast.
Nuke ast. Anetrak amset.
Anetrak amset.
Nuke amset.
Nuke amset.
Twal winter.
Twal winter. Anetrak neat.
Anetrak neat.
Nuke neat.
Nuke neat. Anetrak dwa mutef.
Anetrak dwa mutef.
Nuke dwa mutef.
Nuke dwa mutef.
Twal winter.
Twal winter. Anetrak newt.
Anetrak newt.
Nuke newt.
Nuke newt. Anetrak geb.
Anetrak geb.
Nuke geb.
Nuke eb.
Twal winter.
Twal winter.
Anetrak shoe.
Anetrak shoe.
Shoe. Shoe. Shoe. Shoe. Nuke shoe.
Anetrak tefnut.
Anetrak tefnut. 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 Nuke tefnut. Twal winter. Anetrak paut in teru. Nuke paut in teru. Anetrak and boo in teru. Nuke and boo in teru. Twal winter. Now take your breath. Dwa winter. Dwa, dwa, dwa. Dwa, so much. Dwa. For doing this ritual, this important ritual, brought into its current condition, its current format by our elder, Baba Heru Ankara Samad Sekata. If you have the opportunity, please send our elder some love. Go to his Facebook page and say Ankh and Ma'at to him. Hit him up on Instagram, say Ankh and Ma'at to him. Send him a donation if you can. The fact that he has been doing what he has been doing for this long is of critical importance. And in many ways, you've probably heard me say in many ways that his ability to be so steadfast to the tradition has allowed us to be steadfast to the tradition. And so we must say a divine dua inter. We must thank the divine that he has done this and allowed us to be who we should have always been. So I say dua to you for doing this ritual with me. At this point, we would like to do what we call Hessy. And Hessy is our opportunity to galvanize divine energy together in harmony, in song, in affirmation. Today, we're going to do our Ptah Sekhmet Hessy. This is an old but good Hessy from the Shrine of Ptah, our shrine of origin. And are we going to go with the video or the audio or the audio?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I'd like you to do is prepare for this Hessy as done by that wonderful couple that is out in Kemet. It is their rendition, a wonderful, beautifully sung and mastered rendition of the Ptah Sekhmet Hessy. Take a listen.
Ptah Sekhmet Imhotep, Ptah Sekhmet Neferatu, Ptah Sekhmet Imhotep, Ptah Sekhmet Neferatu, Ptah Sekhmet Imhotep, Ptah Sekhmet Neferatu, Ptah Sekhmet Imhotep, Ptah Sekhmet, Imhotep, Ptah, Sekhmet, Neferatu, Ptah, Sekhmet, Imhotep, Ptah, Sekhmet, Neferatu,
I really enjoy hearing them master and these Hessy and put them to wonderful music. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. Dua to that wonderful couple. I really do love that Hessy. I'm hoping that you actually are using the Hessy in your life as well. Ptah is that energy of creation. It is said that Ptah hammered out all of humanity on an anvil. So think about Ptah as being a creation deity. In addition to being a creation deity, tonight, we're going to see awards that are very, very popular in the United States. In fact, I think that they're probably covered all over the world. What am I referring to? I'm referring to the Academy Awards, also known as the Oscar. If you're not familiar with this already, look for the Oscar Award. I don't have Ptah here. You are going to notice that the statue of the Oscar is clearly taken from the image of Ptah. They have never acknowledged it. By the way, once you recognize it, it makes complete sense. Ptah is a creative deity. And what is the Oscar for? The Oscar is an award for actors and people who do things in film and in television. It is a creative award. When you know, you know. And they don't even have the decency to acknowledge that they have borrowed, I'm being polite, that they have taken from the concepts, the fundamental principles of your ancient African ancestors. They don't have the decency to say that. But recognize that while they rarely give awards to people of African descent, Africa is all up in it, even through their dishonesty. So I want you to recognize that that is what you're going to see tonight. You're going to see creativity on display. So Ptah is a creative deity, and there are times that Ptah's consort, Ptah's wife, is Sekhmet. At times, Sekhmet is the deity of divine cleansing. She is the one who is powerful. Sekhem is the word for power or force. And if you hear the T at the end, Sekhmet, then you should know that her name means she is powerful. She is forceful. So this great lioness, here she is. This great lioness is one who is also commemorated in this wonderful Hessy. We have Ptah and we have Sekhmet. And then we have their child at times. And the child is Nefer-Atum. And I want you to recognize that Nefer-Atum is not a deity that we hear of that much in the modern world. For whatever reason, we don't hear of Nefer-Atum very often. But Nefer-Atum is depicted as a young person with a lotus on their head. And so this is one of the divine trinities. And of course, because we were raised in the shrine of Ptah, that is, I'm using air quotes because we were adults when we came to the shrine of Ptah, but we were not adults in the Kemetic tradition, right? We were raised in the shrine of Ptah. Understand that that is why we have that Hessy. It comes to us from our root shrine, the shrine of Ptah, founded by Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samad Se Ptah. So I love that Hessy. You should know that I had seen in the shrine of Ptah people go on and sing that for about 15 minutes. 15 minutes. It would start quietly. Ptah Sekhmet Imhotep. Ptah Sekhmet Nefer-Atum. Oh, by the way, you should know that Imhotep is also considered the offspring of Ptah and Sekhmet. That's why we say Imhotep. It depends on which trinity you're describing. And so it would start there, and then somebody would start cheering, and then one of the sisters, one of our Sanetu, would start doing ululations, right? And then all of a sudden, someone would have a tambourine and a shekere, and then somebody would be dancing, and then, you know, some brother would be doing martial arts in the back. It would have gone on for a long time, and we had a lot of fun doing it. So dua once again to Baba for creating that environment for two young Kamites to truly find themselves. When I hear that Hessy, I remember being that young person in the 80s. In the 90s, really coming into my own in that space. So let me go ahead and begin what we call the word from the Sebayit. You know that at every Kemetic Ascension, we discuss how the literature of ancient Kemet can guide us today in the modern world. How the literature of ancient Kemet can guide us today in the modern world. Today, I want to talk to you about the wisdom of sacred purification. And I want you to know that I plan for this to be a two-part discussion. Today, we'll go through some of what we would do to practice purification. It is one of the fundamental aspects of Kemetic spirituality, purification. And next time, in 2 weeks, we'll actually make some of these spiritual baths. And we're going to ask, here's your homework. I'm giving you homework up front. We're going to ask that you create a spiritual bath and you do it along with us next time for Kemetic Ascension. we're going to actually allow some of you to come in live and share with us what you've created, because I think that that might be absolutely amazing. So that's what we plan to do next time. This is part one. This is part one. We figured what we should sort of ground you if you're not familiar with, if you have not used sacred purification and sacred baths already, spiritual baths already. We're hoping that this will allow you to feel comfortable preparing for it. So let us begin. Take a look at these images here. I want you to recognize that if you look closely and you know what you're looking at, you are going to see that sacred purification is a major aspect of Kemetic spirituality. And you are going to see that it is all over the place. And it ain't just in Kemetic spirituality. In African spirituality, purification is critical. And those concepts have found their way into the rest of the world's spiritual traditions. We see sacred purification be something that happens in churches. I know that when I was raised Roman Catholic, the first thing we did when we entered the church is we would take a bit of that holy water at the side of the church, and we would do the sign of the cross. Now, of course, we knew later that that water ended up not being very clean because everybody was putting their fingers in it and rubbing it on themselves. But understand that that was supposed to be a form of sacred purification. We see sacred purification being done by those people who are in the tradition of Islam, where they must, before they pray, cleanse themselves. We know that sacred purification is part, definitely, I'm going older, we see it being part of the ancient African traditions, the tradition of Ifa, the traditions of the Fawn. We see purification be powerful in the traditions of the Akan. I know that Anika and I had wonderful purification before we received our stools, and that was important. Before we were made chief and chief mother, we had to go through purification. And so this is a very fundamental principle, a fundamental practice in African spirituality, and has spilled into the world. Does anyone know who this individual is who is being purified on the left? I know you can recognize at least that there's one deity doing this purification as well. Do you know who that person, who that deity is? He's on the right side of the image. And you'll note that in this purification, you can see that the purification is connected to divine life. Can you see that it is, in many ways, they are pouring out water, but the water is in the shape of the Ankh. At least tell me who the deity is.
Anpu.
Anpu, who the Greeks called Anubis. So for those of you who might be a little bit newer, you might hear the word Anubis. Know that that is not the name that our African ancestors used. And you're seeing this person go through. This is Amenhotep the first receiving sacred purification here. Beautiful, beautiful image. And on the right, you're seeing a modern African practitioner assist someone with their purification. Can you see they're dressed in white? And they're doing what some people might consider a baptism. Baptisms are sacred purification. Recognize that the concept of baptism was ancient before anyone ever knew the traditions of Christianity. Ancient before anyone ever knew the traditions of Christianity. So, as we look at this slide, I want you to recognize that purification is something that you should use as a practitioner of an African tradition, and more so specifically a practitioner of the Kemetic tradition. What is the image in the middle? Can anyone describe what the image in the middle is? What's the image in the middle? You can see that it's a bowl. Is there something curious about the bowl? Is there something unique about the bowl? Tell us about this bowl.
And Jason says it's a wob bowl.
Send Jason. Send Jason is always a ringer. He's always a ringer. Send Jason. It's either going to be Send Jason or Send Atan. The two of them are ringers, right? You'll see here that this is a wob bowl. And wob is what? Wob is purification. It's also the name of a type of priest. Take a look at this image. You are seeing this comes from the app that can assist you with reading the Kemetic language. And you can see that here they're telling you that it's the name of a priest. Notice how, now this is the thing. They make it sound like Wab is only the name of a priest. Wab is to purify. But can you see now that you're looking at a bowl with feet? In some ways, it's a compound word. I find that fascinating. So you see wa and bu, wab. And so the leg is the wa, is the bu, and the wa is the bowl. And it means to purify. So they've literally made this bowl that is used for purification be the image of purification. And I think that that's beautiful. Look at those tiny little feet that it has. Notice that the bowl is tilted forward. If you had a bowl that was tilted forward and it had feet, you would assume that the feet were there for it to move. And if you had liquid in a vessel and it was tilted forward and it was moving, it would be spilling. So they're trying to show you that this vessel is for the spilling of liquid, of water, or purification. That is wonderful. I love how they've made this. We actually have a model, a replica of this that I use when I speak to students sometimes. So let's look at what somebody getting in trouble out there. Somebody, mama telling the little child off. I know y'all can't hear this, but I heard it, right? She said, make it make sense. And the poor kid has his head down. Anyway, look at this. I want you to see that this is purification in the Mirkutu. I should put a U there. I've been corrected. The Mirkutu text. The Mirkutu texts are considered the first spiritual text in the world. The first spiritual text in the world. So I want you to listen to how we hear that cleansing or purification is of critical importance at the earliest period in the Kemetic tradition. Often they call these the pyramid texts, and this is of King Unas. This is from the 5th dynasty, utterance 253. It says, cleansed is he who is cleaned in the field of rushes. Cleansed is Ra in the field of rushes. Cleansed is he who is cleansed in the field of rushes. Cleansed is this Unas in the field of rushes. Now, it might sound repetitive because most of these documents are for ceremonies. Most of these documents are for ceremonies. And so recognize that that is what you are seeing. And as you look at this, you are seeing the interior. I think this is the Mirkut of Teti, I believe. But as you look at it, notice that you are seeing that the glyphs are written from ceiling to floor. This is how we get what the later people called the pyramid text. Yes.
It's a question how to get that app that you just showed.
The app, if you go to your app store, you should find it. It's a little pricey in terms of an app. I think it's like $15, right? Most apps are, I don't think I usually pay. If I pay for an app, I don't usually pay more than $3 for it. But I have had it and I've used it ever since. It's called like Aau. So if you're looking for it, look for AAOU. Why it's named that, I don't really know. But know that it is AAOU is what you're going to look for. 2 A's, O, and U. And you'll find the app. Okay? It has the image of Anpu on it. And so I have found it very helpful at times as well. Instead of cracking open the books and trying to find, for example, an image of that, I can look at it on my phone and then send myself an image, and it helps me in teaching and learning as well. Take a look at that Merkut. That's how it looks now. You should know that when the Arabs came to Kemet, they started tearing the finely polished limestone off of the Merkutu, off of the pyramids, and using that limestone to build their mosques. And this is one of the reasons why they look like they do today, while some of them are in this condition, because the modern people actually, you have to say, defiled these sacred spaces. How about purification in the Rayu, Pert, and Haru and Ger? How about purification in the Rayu and Pert and Haru and Ger? You're actually going to see here that this is an image from, well, who is this an image of? It's not the clearest image. I could have found a clearer one. Whose judgment scene is this? Do we have answers?
Not yet.
You know, it's funny because whenever you see a judgment scene, you assume that it's the same judgment scene as the person who this actually belongs to. But often when you look at versions of the book that is primarily translated for this individual, they actually show you the image from someone else's scene. So do we have answers yet? Who is it from?
Son Jason has an answer.
What did he say?
Ani.
Ani, that is correct. Ani.
Eitan Amun-Ra says Hunefer.
Now look here. If you look, can they see this? Am I close enough? If you look here, you'll see that this is a wonderfully illustrated version of the Rayu, Pert, and Haru and Ger. Unfortunately, it has the name that it is misnomered by, the Book of the Dead. But if you look here on the top, you'll see Ani. And on the bottom, you're going to see Hunefer. Hunefer is when you see a brown-skinned guy by himself, that's usually Hunefer. Without reading it, you know that that's Hunefer. And at the top, Ani comes in with his wife, Thuthu. And so you'll actually see that she accompanies him. And the two of them are quite different. They're different in some very interesting ways. But know that that is one of the ways, without reading it, that you can recognize what you are seeing very, very quickly. So you are seeing an image of the judgment scene of
Ani.
I got completely distracted, of Ani. Let's take a look. This is on page 206. Look at the version that has the designs of Baba Heru on the front. It's beautiful. And this is one of the passages that describes purification. It says, I have come advancing to make a declaration of right and truth. By the way, right and truth is translated as ma'at there. Take a look at those glyphs. Beautiful. To place the balance upon its supports within the amaranthine bushes. I want you also for next time to do some research on amaranthine bushes. Why are amaranthine bushes important? If you figure that out and you can see that it is connected to Ma'at, if you were going to do a spiritual bath to Ma'at or an altar to Ma'at, could you include leaves from the amaranthine bush? Yes, you could. Let's continue. Hail exalted upon his standard, Lord of the Atef crown, making his name as the Lord of winds. Deliver me from thy messages, who make to happen the deeds, who make to arise calamities without covering their faces, because I have done right and truth. O Lord of right and truth, I am pure. My breast is washed. My hinder parts are cleansed. My interior in the pool has been in the pool of right and truth, without a member in me lacking. I have been purified in the pool, in the southern pool. I have rested in Hemet, to the north of the field of the grasshoppers. Bathe the divine sailors in it. at the season of night to gratify the hearts of the Neteru. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. I love that piece. Think about this here. They are telling you that before you go to battle, you must purify. Listen to what it says here. It says right at the back that you have come forth advancing to make your declaration of right and truth in the place and to place the balance upon its supports. By the way, those of you practitioners, here we have a name, not just for the scales. Those of you who are practitioners know the names of the Kemetic scales, the Machite. But now we know there's the name for the balance, the middle piece that it stands on. That has a name too. It looks like it says Ausu. Ausu is the balance. Ausu. So now we have found more out about this. No, it doesn't look like that. I think the supports are
Usu.
Ahau. Ahau. Do you see that? Ausu is placed a balance upon its supports. Maybe it's just another name for the scales itself. Ausu. Because you're placing the balance upon the supports. We have more research to do. I think that's fascinating. Listen, we're the Shrine of Ma'at, right? So we really should be more familiar with these balance scales. And when you read the text, they give you names for the balance scales. Often in the text, the description, the word for the scales themselves are the Machite. The Machite. And so here we're seeing that part of the scales, or perhaps another name for the scales, is Ausu. And the supports is called Ahau. Ahau. The F is kind of like its or his, right? So Ahau would be like his supports, possessive.
Its supports.
It's in this instance, supports, right? But you'll notice here that as you are the person that actually creates divine balance, that's what it's saying. I'm the person that creates divine balance. And you're doing that within the Amaranthine bushes. Then you notice here that you are saying, hail, exalted upon his standard, Lord of the Atef crown. Who are they referring to? Who is the Lord of the Atef crown? Who is the Lord of the Atef crown? Who is the Lord of the Atef crown? I'm not going to even continue until I have an answer. Who is the Lord of the Atef crown? Let's see who has an answer for me. Any answers yet? She's looking at, she's like, why don't you get the large one? Because the large one is heavy. I saw your eyes.
I was looking for the other one, but I think it's packed away.
There's two of them, yeah.
It's in that bag.
Is it?
In that green bag.
No answers yet?
Yes. Dr. LaRoche says Asar.
Yes.
Sen Jason says Asar. Jason Edwards. Kimberly McKay. Well, Atum Amun-Ra. They all say Asar.
They should all know. Yes. Ankh and Ma'at to you, by the way, also, my brother, Dr. LaRoche. It's good to know you're out there. I saw you last night, too. Here is the Atef crown. Look at that crown. That's called the Atef crown. It is the white crown with the two feathers on it. And sometimes, often, it also has these horns at the bottom as well. I think these are horns that come from a goat, right? Or from they're goat horns, right?
I believe so.
You know, we're city people, right? I don't often see goats, but you know, being a practitioner of the Kemetic tradition, no, those horns aren't for an ibis.
I said ibex.
Oh, ibex. Does she? If I don't know what a goat looked like, you think I know what an ibex looked like? She get all fancy on me here. Look at that crown. That's the crown of Asar. So you see the white crown in the middle and the two feathers on the sides? I find it very interesting that none of the scholars acknowledge why he has these feathers on the sides. But let's be clear. It also is a symbol of balance, and it means that he is doubly of Ma'at. No, I think they're straight. Anika shows me a picture of an ibex. And in this instance, you're saying that Asar is doubly of Ma'at. That's powerful. So yes, when they say exalted upon his standard is the Lord of the Atef crown, that's powerful, powerful. By the way, we say Atef crown, but can you see in the glyphs it says Atefu? Can you see it says Atefu?
It's too small.
They can't see that? It's too small on the screen? Oh, I can see it here. I'm sorry. I see Atefu. Can you see Atefu, Anika? Or is it too small for you too?
I switched.
Okay. But as you look here, you can see that it actually says Atefu crown. And he's making his name as Lord of the Winds. Had you ever known that Asar also had the name Lord of the Winds? Did you know that? Powerful. Powerful. And it says, deliver me from the messengers who make dire deeds and who make calamities to arise without covering their faces. Now think about this. These folks who are wishing to do you harm are so nasty that they make dire deeds and create calamities without covering their faces. They're going to let you see that they're trying to harm you. That's powerful. But you are an element of Ma'at. You literally create balance. You literally create balance because you have done right and truth. And you're saying once again, O Lord of right and truth. This is a description to Asar once again. And then they say, I am pure. My breast is washed. Now, they don't mean breast as in female breast. They're talking about my torso. My body is washed. And look at what it says, my hinder parts are washed. That means that you have to wash your private parts, your genitalia, right? Your hen and nen. Your hoo-ha. Nika says your hoo-ha. You have to wash that too. Purification is important. And your interior has been cleansed. This might mean that you have done fasting. It's not just cleaning the outside of you and the inside is all funky. You've also cleansed your interior. Powerful, powerful here. Without a member of me lacking, every part of me is purified. I have been purified in the southern pool, and I have rested in the northern pool next to the field of the grasshoppers. This is powerful. You are saying that you are able to defeat these individuals because you have done right and truth and that you are purified. When you're about to go to battle, you should be doing right and truth and you should be purified. This is a prayer. Can you see that this is a prayer? Can you see that this is a purification prayer? I'm going into a difficult time when people wish to do me harm, but I have done right and truth, and I am purified. Purification is of critical importance in the Kemetic tradition. Purification is of critical importance in the Kemetic tradition. That is what this is telling us. Powerful. Powerful. Let's look at purification on the sacred stele of Piye. And here you're seeing the image that National Geographic had created for Piye. By the way, Piye, the main way that he was described used to be Pianki. But Piye is that Nubian, that Cushitic ruler that was tasked with putting Kemet back into order. And he sends his army to do battle with all those people in Kemet all these little distinct pieces that are not doing right by Kemet. That they're letting things actually go into disrepair. In fact, we hear that they were also trying to shift the national deity to Set. Piye is asked by those people in the temple of Amun to send his assistance. And listen to what he says to his soldiers before they go to battle. It says, when ye arrive in Waset, before Epet Esut. By the way, Epet Esut is what the Greeks, is it the Greeks? I think it's the Greeks called it Karnak, right? Ye shall enter into the water. Ye shall bathe in the river. Ye shall dress in fine linen. Unstring the bow. Loosen the arrow. Let not the chief boast as a mighty man. There is no strength to the mighty without him. He's talking about Amun. He maketh the weak-armed into strong-armed, so the multitudes flee from the feeble. And one alone taketh 1,000 men. Sprinkle yourselves with the water of his altars. Sniff the ground before him. What does that mean, sniff the ground? Does that mean to prostrate yourself, to put your face to the ground? Sniff the ground before him. He's talking about before the altar. Say ye to him, give us the way, that we may fight in the shadow of thy sword, as for the generation who thou hast sent out. When its attack occurs, multitudes flee before it. He is saying that if you go through divine purification, you will have success in battle. Now, I know that most of y'all, none of y'all are going to battle with a sword, with a literal army. But don't you go to battle regularly? Don't you have things that have been set against you? People who are seeking to do you harm, and they don't even want to hide their face. They just have malintent for you. Don't you have that? Of course you do. You should be purified. That is what the texts are telling you. That's what the Merkutu text tell you. That's what the Reyu, Pert, and Meru tells you. That's even what Piye is telling you. You must purify. This is important. Anika, I hear you typing back there. Lots of questions, comments?
Just thanking people for donations.
Oh, wonderful. Take a look at this. I want you to also see more images of purification. There's the one I showed you in the beginning of Amenhotep the first. And you're also seeing purification in the temple of Kamambo. That temple known as Nubt. This is a purification that occurs in this temple. It is once again beautiful. And you can see it's a purification that is being led by Jehuti and by Heru. I love these images because you are going to see one like this. Look at this one. This one is in alabaster. Beautiful. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. This is Amenhotep II. They literally made a physical representation of the purification. By the way, also with Heru and with Jehuti. Beautiful. Take a look at this one. I've never seen this one. I don't know where it is. I want to find it. Can you see it's cast? It's cast here, probably in copper or in bronze. Beautiful. Beautiful. And this person is kneeling and receiving divine purification. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Purification is critical. When you are about to do sacred work, when you are about to do those things that the Neteru, that the ancestors have divinely ordained you to do, part of your preparation must be your purification. Purify to prepare. Prepare to purify. This is critical. This is critical. And we know that it was critically important. Look at Epet again. Here's the temple that was later misnomered Karnak. Look at this large lake. This large lake was used for sacred purification. Can you see that there's some stairs going down into the water? You should also know that this refills, remember, Kemet is a desert. This refills with subterranean passages with water from the Hapi. This is how it looks today. This is after all the desecration and degradation that has happened there. That wonderful pool is still there. By the way, you should know, nobody's refilling that. That refills itself. This is where the priest would come to do their sacred purification. Beautiful. Beautiful. So, I want you to understand that this is not just something our Kemetic ancestors have told us. I want you to understand that there is scientific backing to the power of purification. Look at this scientific study. This is done in 2018. It's published in PubMed.gov, so you can take a look at it. It's the physical and mental effects of bathing, a randomized intervention study. Listen to this. Showering is the most common form of bathing worldwide. Whole body immersion, bathing in warm water, is common in Japan and exerts sufficient hypothermic action to induce vasodilation. That means that your blood vessels expand, vasodilation, and increase blood flow, supplying more oxygen and nutrients to the periphery. Bathing, not just showering. By the way, I'm always rushing. I always shower. But this study is telling us that bathing has benefits. It actually increases blood flow, supplying more oxygen and nutrients to the periphery. Cross-sectional studies report better subjective health status with an immersion bathing habit. This randomized control trial compared the effects of health on immersion bathing and showering bathing in 38 participants who received 2-week intervention of immersion bathing in warm water at 40 degrees Celsius for 10 minutes, followed by 2-week shower bathing without immersion, or vice versa. Visual analog scale scores were significantly better for fatigue, stress, pain, and smile. They studied smiles. Anika, they studied smiles. Mm-hmm. They studied, how do you study a smile? Do you measure the smile? I don't know. But they studied smiles and tended to be better for self-reported health and skin condition after bathing intervention than after showering intervention. This is important. It improves also mental health. Do you see that? General health, mental health, role emotional, social functioning scores. It also, when they profiled mood state scores, they were lowered for stress, tension, anxiety, anger, hostility, depression, dejection. This is important. They're saying that bathing has effects. Yes, we have a question.
Mm-hmm. Do the different combinations of Neteru or persons performing the purification in the images denote a certain type of purification? For example, is there a different type of ritual shown when the Neteru are Heru set as opposed to Heru and Jehuti?
I believe so. But let me say to you, I have not done a scholarly study of the images and read the text. I believe that particular individuals are assisting with purification because there's a particular act being sought. That's what I believe. And I think that this is important. I think that it is certainly important. The reason why I believe we see Heru and Jehuti in that instance is because you are the Asar. And remember, there are images, descriptions of Heru getting the assistance of Jehuti to prepare Asar for his elevation, for his resurrection. Look at this one, the power of a shower. This is in Psychology Today, right? 2013. How to soap up and find ideas. A lot of people say they have aha moments in the shower, maybe after wrestling with some problems the night or day before. That's the unseen mind at work, as researchers call it. Even though it seems you're not thinking about something, your brain is working away, making connections all the while. I know one person who claims 80% of the time he has been thinking about some problem, he gets one of these moments in the shower the next morning. Wow. Wouldn't it be nice to count on that? So now they're describing how your meditative mind goes into effect when you're showering. Haven't you noticed that sometimes you can just shower and not, it doesn't seem like you're thinking about something, but then all of a sudden you have these amazing thoughts? They're talking about the power of purification. These are scientific descriptions, one in Psychology Today and one in PubMed.gov. It's from the National Center of Biotechnology Information. This is powerful. So here are some of the items you might consider for your spiritual bath. Perhaps you're going to use minerals like sea salt, baking soda, or clay. Perhaps you're going to use herbs like lemongrass. Lemongrass smells amazing, folks. Lemongrass, chamomile, which is relaxing, dandelion, which is cleansing, flowers, some sort of flowers, pine, needles, and cones. We're talking about pine needles and cones. Eucalyptus, hops, linden flowers, mint, sage, stinging nettle, or even rosemary, or combinations of those things. And perhaps you also want to add essential oils like lavender, orange, flower oil, or flower mixed with orange oil, jasmine, grapefruit, mint. I find it interesting. I did not even put on there papyrus oil and lotus oil. Understand that these are all things that you can use as you're doing a spiritual bath. Look at this African spiritual practitioner here doing spiritual cleansing. Can you see that in that vessel, clearly they have given thought to what should be in the vessel for the spiritual bath. So I want to ask you, what are you going to use for your spiritual bath? And of course, smudging is a time of purification as well, right? Take a look at that bundle of sweet sage grass, and it is sitting in an abalone shell. Abalone shells are just beautiful. They're iridescent. They come from the sea. But in addition to that, they are fire retardant. So you can actually put your bundle of sage grass or other herb in your abalone shell and it won't burn. That's the reason why it is used this way. And I'm going to tell you, African spiritual practitioners have used this for a very long time. And you'll also often find that you'll find these carved wood stands for your abalone shell. This is one of the things that practitioners often use, so that when you put your abalone shell there, now you can do your smudging. You may know that the bundle of herb, the bundle of white sage continues to burn after you use it, right? What do you do with it? You put it on the floor and start a fire in your house? What do? The abalone shell works very well for that. And so this is also something that practitioners use. Smudging or purification with fire and air is something that folks often use. I'm going to say to you that when you're doing that kind of purification, you can also, smudging is like purifying with a fire hose. But if you want to purify just for pure personal purification, often you can also use Palo Santo. Palo Santo works well as well. And it comes from this region of the world. You're not going to find Palo Santo in Kemet, as far as I know. But you are going to find Palo Santo in the Americas. In fact, my understanding is that it comes from Southern and Central America, where priests use these trees, these wonderful smelling trees. They often wait for the tree to fall or to die before just harvesting live trees, and they burn those trees. It is an amazing smell. That is what Anika prefers to use instead of sage. She likes Palo Santo. And it's certainly something that you should become accustomed to using. It comes in strips of wood. For some reason, I cannot find a piece of Palo Santo
down here.
I'm not sure why we don't have any down here. We usually do. Anyway, know that that's often what people use for personal purification as opposed to purifying like an entire space. If you were going to purify an entire space, you would probably definitely use sage. And people also use sage to purify individuals as well. So you're seeing that this is another way to purify. And definitely some of the things that you would use is you would use for smudging are frankincense, myrrh. You've seen us do that with our censer, right? Certainly, if you've seen us in ceremony, we often use a censer. And it's so unfortunate that now, in order to find a censer, you have to really go to folks in the Christian tradition. When we see images of censing occurring in Kemet thousands of years before Christianity ever occurred. But here's the censer that we would use for example, frankincense and myrrh. This is another type of purification by air and fire. And definitely, it's the kind of thing that you often see as well. And these are some of the things that you would use. By the way, you should know that I already mentioned white sage bush. That's what you see bundled here. But the Kemetic people had a special incense that today is often called Kifi. But it seems to be in the Kemetic language kapet. Kapet is what we called it. I'm going to say to you, I don't know why. We need to be able, as a shrine, to make kapet and to sell it. It should be a form of commerce for the shrine. We need to do that. And of course, I mentioned Palo Santo. In addition to an abalone shell, of course, you can use an iron shell. I have tons of, and you can tell me I have too many of them. I have tons of iron vessels that I use because I'm constantly purifying. I'm constantly purifying by air. When I'm working, sometimes I burn incense just because it helps clear my mind. If you see me doing being on Sonetta, if you look closer, you're gonna see me lighting and praying in the background because it helps me remember that the things I'm bringing forth are not just things that I am bringing forth. I'm asking the Neteru and the ancestors to assist me, and that is what I'm doing when you see me doing it on these fora. Yes, Anika.
What are the contents of kapet?
Ooh, very interesting. There is no agreement on what is in it, but there is a formula that was discovered during the Ptolemaic era. Is it the same as it was in the ancient world? I don't know. But I do know that one of the things that was in kapet is cinnamon. Cinnamon is one of those things that was in kapet. There were several items in it. And there's a wonderful, that recipe is one that I have attempted to recreate. I don't know how good my kapet was. I probably need to practice with it more. But it's also, if you buy it online, it's extremely expensive. You will literally get an ounce of kapet for $20. Maybe less than an ounce. A gram? You know, these measurements in the help me. I'm familiar with what they call imperial. I'm not as good when we're talking about the systems that are used all around the world. But for a gram, you'll really get it's very expensive. We should be making it. As practitioners of Kemetic spirituality, we should refine it, make it, and sell it. So I suggested that's what we should try to do. So let's continue. So let me ask you, if you are trying to do, by the way, look at the censer here in this image. Can you see that this person is giving purification, is giving offerings to Mut? This is purification to Mut. And you can see that he has a censer in his left hand. These censers were all over Kemet. It looks like a hand, but it has Heru's head on the back of it. And on the top, you would see that there's a little vessel where you would have the resin with the scent. And in the front, it would have the thing that is burning. These items are all there. They are in Kemet, all over Kemet. They are not in the modern world. Why not? And who should be making them? Who should be making them? Now, listen, I work in wood, so I don't think you'd want me to do this. But clearly, I think that we should be making them. And you can also see that he's giving her a purification ritual, a purification offering with water. Can you see that? In those pillar altars. That's a pillar altar. You see those in Kemet as well. As much as I look at Kemetic images, I know the implements, but I don't see almost any of them in use in the world today. Who should be bringing them back into existence if it's not us? Anyway, he's doing this offering to Mut, the divine Netert and consort and wife of Amun. And this is a picture from Epet Isut Temple, from Karnak Temple. It is beautiful. So this is what I want to ask you. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? Is there a task that you're looking to achieve? Is there a particular netter or netcher that you're looking to invoke or evoke? And if you're looking to do that, what purification technique might you use? What herbs would you use? What would you say? I want you to be prepared to share with us your purification ritual at our next Kemetic Ascension. I'm going to make a spiritual bath here in front of you, and I want to see you be prepared to make a spiritual bath as well. Remember that list that I showed you? Maybe you'll use some of those. Notice how when we read the Reyu Pert of Meru and Ger, we even saw that there was a particular bush that seems to be connected with Ma'at. So if you're doing a Ma'at bath, shouldn't you be using those? I'm not saying it's the only thing that you can use, but clearly it's one that I think what our ancestors would have recognized. This is fascinating to me. This is fascinating to me. So as you do this, please be prepared. Please be prepared. I want to see what you're going to come up with next week as well. Okay? Remember, as practitioners, we must practice. As practitioners, we must do. Not just think and read, but do. I am asking that you begin to utilize, if you're not already, sacred purification in your life as well. So I hope that you've found this primer helpful, because when we next meet, we're going to see what you came up with. And I'm not saying that there's any wrong answer, but what do you think is the best answer, for example? Yes, Anika.
How do you purify using Jehuti?
I want you to take a stab at it. I want you to think about what to do to purify for Jehuti. And you know what? Because that's the first question, I'm going to do a Jehuti bath next time. It's going to be specifically for Jehuti. Does that make sense? Let's see what you come up with, and let's see what I come up with. Now, let's be clear. I'm not saying because I'm the high priest that mine is better than yours. Do this one. If this speaks to you and evokes Jehuti within you, who am I to challenge you? I am not more divine simply because I'm a high priest. That's not how the Kemetic tradition works. It should mean that I have a greater commitment to you. It should mean that I have been on the path for a long time. But certainly your attempts at evoking Jehuti through a bath should be interesting as well. I want to see what you're going to... Who asked that question? Let me pin them down.
Terry Lanner.
Ooh, Terry. Terry, you have an assignment. I want to see what you're going to come up with, okay? And we're going to put some of you live on camera as you created it. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. What's that look, Anika? Questions, comments? Yeah. Not sure what that is? Anika just like this. Huh? So she's not sure what she just read. I'm sure y'all going to be working it out. You hear what I'm saying? Y'all going to be working it out, trying to figure out what you're going to use. Who are you trying to evoke? Why are you trying to evoke them? Can you use them? If you're going into battle, could you take a little bit of that spiritual bath with you in a little vessel and sprinkle it on you before you go in? Could you do that after you've done the full purification at home? I'm telling you, you can. Anika?
So, Brother LaRoche is asking that there's a statue at Ramesses between Jehuti and Tehuti. I'm sorry, Jehuti and Heru, excuse me. I thought this was a battle between good and chaos. Is there a purification component?
I don't think it's a battle between good and chaos, because I don't think I would have seen Jehuti and Heru. I think you're talking about the one with Set and Heru. That's the one I think you're seeing. And in that instance, both Heru and Set are purifying him. Because this is the point where you've seen the union of the two portions of ourself. So it's not really, I don't know if I would say it's a battle. I let me just tweak what you're saying a little bit, perhaps, if you allow me. It's not as much a battle. It is now bringing order out of chaos, right? So the purification where you see Set and Heru, that order has occurred. So that's the way I would look at it. Yes, and that is the statue. It's I believe it's rose granite. I know exactly which one you're referring to. I showed in many of my lectures because it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Yes, Anika.
How do you purify yourself from drugs and other addictions using Kemetic practice?
That is a conversation that is not a quick answer. But I'm going to tell you, did you notice that when we were reading from the Rayu part of Murungir, it also talked about being purified on the inside? So it's not just the outside, right? It's the inside as well. There are many things you can use to help detox. Many things. For example, I know that one of the brothers who's kind of part of the Shrine of Ma'at family has been told that he has heavy metal poisoning. And I know that he's going through what's called chelation therapy. But did you know that you can also, to remove heavy metals from your system, there are things that you can eat, like chlorella and spirulina. Do you remember the scene? I love showing the scene, also because I'm a comic book fan, right? Do you remember the scene where Iron Man, having saved his own life and become a superhero using his arc reactor, which was buried in the middle of his chest, realized that process was also poisoning him? And when it was poisoning him, the only thing that was keeping him alive was something very interesting. Did you notice he was making green juice? That was to detox him from all of the heavy metal poisoning. Now, listen, I know you don't have an arc reactor in your chest, but might you have heavy metal poisoning? Yes, because the environment that we live in, with all of the metals that we have access to and the way that we eat, sometimes that stuff gets into our system. So purification is something that you can do. I guarantee you, if you look at chlorella, you're going to see that it assists with detoxing from certain medicines and drugs as well. I guarantee you. I don't have the time to go into what chlorella does extensively here, but I guarantee you that that's one of the things that you should have. By the way, what's the other thing you should have in your salads if you're trying to detox from those sorts of things? It's something that Amika doesn't like that much. I shouldn't say not that much. She doesn't like it at all. It's interesting. I've been told now that there's a gene that some of us have that mean that we find this particular green food revolting. And most of us don't have that gene, and we like it. But there are some people who have a gene that predisposes them to not liking it. I guarantee you Anika has that gene because she does not like this thing. What am I referring to? You'll find it in Indian food. You'll find it in Ethiopian food. You'll find it in Mexican food. What am I referring to?
Somebody said cilantro.
Cilantro. Cilantro is also something you should do to detox from heavy metals and other impurities in your blood. Cilantro is excellent for you. If you don't like cilantro, if you have that gene like Anika probably does, there are other things you can use. I'm not saying if you don't have it, then you're out of luck. But definitely you should do some research and you'll find that. Folks who actually are initiated in the Shrine of Ma'at, by the way, initiation is about to begin. I'm going to announce the date shortly via email for those of you who have submitted applications. You're going to note that that a fast is a good way to purify as well. And the manner in which we fast in the Shrine of God is a really good way to cleanse yourself of those things. And so there's a lot that you should do. Purification is not just cleaning yourself outside and then being sick and infirm inside, right? Doesn't mean you take a nice shower and then you smoke a cigarette, right? Because aren't you doing damage to your insides? It doesn't mean that you cleanse yourself with eucalyptus and then you go eat a Big Mac, right? Some pork rinds, right? You have to cleanse yourself on the inside as well. Other comments or questions before we
No, they're just having a whole conversation about cilantro.
People that don't like it in there too?
People love it.
I love cilantro. I will even eat a salad where it's just cilantro and there's no other leaf. Just cilantro.
Heard Jehuti Ptah Umika Temra doesn't like it. So
there's some people who really
we're on the same team.
The people who don't like it really don't like it. Does that make sense? Anika will be in a restaurant, she'd be like, they're using cilantro. Dun, dun, dun. I don't even smell it, but she knows it's there in the air. You know what I mean? So occasionally now, because she loves Mexican food so much, she will eat something with a little cilantro in it, which is amazing. She'll still eat it because she likes Mexican food that much that she will still submit herself to the horrors of cilantro for some really good salsa or some really good guacamole. She'll still do it. But if she has a chance, she'll ask them to make it without cilantro. Cilantro is one of those things that's really good for you and cleansing. Could you use cilantro in a bath? Sure. Why not? Why not? Just don't be married to someone who doesn't like cilantro, or else you'll be sleeping someplace else that night. But you could certainly crush cilantro and use it in a bath. Yes, Anika.
Question: where would you recommend purchasing kapet?
I don't recommend purchasing it anywhere. Anywhere. I've purchased it before, and the stuff I got was very low quality. We should be making kapet. We should be, as the practitioners of the Kemetic traditions, we should be making it. The folks who sell it now are all Wiccans. They're all Wiccans. They're all Wiccans. So while they admire the Kemetic tradition, they don't really practice the Kemetic tradition. I don't suggest you buy it anywhere. I suggest we make it. Other questions, comments? Looks like we got a lot of responses to this. That's very good. And I know you're asking questions because you're going to be on the hook next time. In 2 weeks, we want to see what you came up with. By the way, is it good for you to also put this on your social media? Here's my spiritual bath. Do you have to say this is for Kemetic Ascension? No, we like for you to. We'd love for you to use hashtag Kemetic Ascension, but go ahead and put it on your social media. This is a spiritual bath that I have created for this. Go ahead and do that. Don't you think that even if this is not a bath for yourself, that you have people who are close to you, who are going through trials and tribulations, who have people who are bringing calamities into their life and not even hiding their face? Shouldn't you prepare them for a spiritual bath? I know you should. I know you should. Spiritual baths are important. Spiritual baths are important. Okay. With that, let me say the divine force in me greets the divine force in you. Dua so much for being part of Kemetic Ascension, and be prepared for your assignments for next week. I want you to remember you've had two things that you're supposed to look up. You're supposed to look up Amaranthine bush to find out as much as you can about it. We're the Shrine of Ma'at. You should know a lot about those things that are connected to Ma'at. And I also want you to be prepared to be clear about what you're evoking, what netaru, what energy are you evoking, and what is the spiritual bath that you're going to use. What's the purification? It doesn't have to just be a bath. It could be purification by wind and fire. What are you going to use to do that? Let's see what you come up with. Okay? Wonderful. Nefer, nefer, nefer. Let's move towards our final affirmation.
So dwalu to everyone for your participation, your great questions. Also dwalu for all of the donations that came in. We really appreciate all of the help. It really helps us do what we are ordained to do. And we want to continue making sure that we can serve you the way we should. So dwalu for that. I want to remind all of you, we still have a few seats available for the trip to Kemet and or Ghana, but you need to start putting in your payments now. Final payments are due May 15th. Everything is due May 15th. We are having a travel meeting to discuss the details of the trip. So if you're interested, please send an email to Ma'at at centerforma'at.com. Again, that's Ma'at at centerforma'at.com. The meeting will be Sunday, March 19th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're interested, we are sending out the link via email. We're not posting the link online. We want to make sure that we don't have anyone who's going to come in and disrupt our meeting. So if you are interested in attending the meeting and learning more about the trip, then please send an email and I will add that email to the chat room as soon as we are done so that you'll know how to reach us. But again, that's Sunday, March 19th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're interested in traveling or if you know someone who's interested and they have questions, it's the perfect time to join us. Okay. We do have our spring equinox that will be on March 20th at 7 p.m. at the Tech-In in Central Park. The colors are white with accents of blue. So if you are coming in person or if you're doing it from home, we will be streaming it as well. Those are the colors for the day. So we hope to see you there.
Yes. And keep it. And you said we'll be streaming it.
Mhm.
So if you're further away, you will be able to see it as well. We always stream them.
So in light of our discussion of purification, I would like to offer the Rupu affirmation for the end of today's session. So if you can stand in the pose of adoration, I will say it in the language of our ancestors, the Unter, and then repeat it in English so you can repeat after me. Rupu Nuku, Amiku, Kemam, Keperu, and Unter, Hayu. I am that I am. A shining being. Dwelling in the light. Of the Most High. Dwell Unter. Thank you to the divine.
Thank you to the divine.
Thank you to all of you.
Go forth and do the things that you are divinely ordained to do. Do the stuff that you were meant to do and enjoy your Sunday. We will see you all very soon. Shema Ma'at. Go forth in divine balance.